Hello, everybody. Welcome to GM Joel's Chess Week Recap. I'm Grandmaster Joel Benjamin, your host, and this week we have action from the Russian Championship, which started up. It's going to finish next week, and we also have some very interesting matches, one-on-one matches from Hoogeveen. We have Nigel Short against Hou Van, and the young Jordan Van Forees against the veteran Ivan Sokolov. So we'll get to those matches in a little bit. But first, Russian Championship. Okay, we've got no Karyakin, no Kramnik, and no Nepom, so some heavy hitters absent. But still, the field includes Grishuk, Tomaszewski, Vityugov, Inarkiev, Yakovenko, and of course, Mr. Russian Championship himself, Peter Svidler. So you've got these 2700s going up against a bunch of 2600 plus players. Some of them kind of no names. You know, in Russia, it's kind of hard to make a name for yourself if you're only 2600. And the first week has been pretty tightly contested. Nobody's making a big score just yet. Next week we'll see how it all wraps up. But we'll look at some games, and we'll start with the very first round. Peter Svidler playing white against Inarkiev, and this is a pretty nice game. E4, E5, as most so many chess games are these days. And there was invitation to the Berlin endgame, and Svidler says no, thank you. I think he pretty much always avoids that endgame. And now D5. What a very brazen move. That's the kind of move that if you didn't know a grandmaster played it, you'd say, well, that's you can't play D5 because white will take this pawn on E5. But actually, a good handful of grandmasters have played D5. It's the kind of move I guess you play if you're very weak or very strong. And if knight takes E5 has usually not been played because black will castle and get some compensation for sacrifice material, and you can kind of compare it to the fact that black usually castles, or very often castles, and white usually does not take on c6 and grab the e pawn because of the same variation, b takes c6 and d5. So after d5, Svidler does not grab the pawn. He takes on d5. Okay, that's been played a few times. Knight bd2 is the most common move. So black has gotten the liberating d5, but white argues that it's not really so great, and actually is going to try to use that e4 square as a jump-off point. Okay, so black castles, knight bd2, a5, I guess, so there's no b4 and potentially b5. Maybe undermining defense of the e5 pawn. Knight to g5. And now queen e7. This is the first new move of the game. This position was played once before at the highest level. Topalov, Aronian. Aronian played bishop f5. And after knight d4, he started hoovering. He took, and he took again. He has to give up one of the bishops. And I think he played knight d8 here and groveled, basically. Topalov had winning chances for a long, long time, eventually a draw in 81 moves. Well, this game was more exciting. Narkiev plays queen e7. It seems actually reasonable here. He's going to run into some troubles later. Bishop d6. a4. This is a little misleading because white is actually thinking about castling over there, but he's just kind of blocking that a pawn and also giving the bishop retreat. Bishop on c4 can retreat now. h6, and now boom, h4. This move doesn't really do that much yet. It's a passive sacrifice. So Inarkiev waits, looks to maybe trade some pieces. Queen f3. Doesn't turn out to do anything because after knight g4, Svidler decides to go back. And Inarkiev could have repeated the position, but he decided that maybe he could improve his position with king h8. So Svidler rushes up kingside pawns. And here, Inarkiev makes a critical mistake.